Good evening once again, everybody. My name is Adam Feasy, and once again I bid you welcome to the Madhouse. Very special guest this week, someone I've been looking forward to for quite a while, an old friend of mine actually. Mr. Morgan Weeds. What's going on, man? And you good?
Woo! Me! Yeah!
That's how every musician should feel. Woo! Me! So what's going on, man? Everything all good in your world?
Yeah. Usual, really, for me. Like, this lockdown, minus not being able to play gigs and go in studios and things, has been pretty much the same for me. So, get up, go to work, come back, write music, go to sleep, you know?
Rinse and repeat as applicable, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, let's get the real important business out of the way. You've got a new project on the go, ain't you?
Well, yeah, I've got about 5, but...
Well, all right, let's go through all of them. But the one I'm very interested to know about is Sentenced to Exile.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we'll touch on the subject later, but I was a big fan of Malicious Inc., your previous band, and it seems like this is kind of continuing that legacy, if you will.
Yes and no. So we're sort of wanting, it's the 4 original members, just minus the old vocalist. So we've got a new vocalist now. His name's John. He's absolutely fantastic. Brings a new range of sort of clean vocals as well as the harsher styles. So we're actually able to maintain the core elements of the original songs that people heard from the old version, but also take it in a new direction as well, and sort of be able to what's the word, like further our kind of broaden our horizons when it comes to music writing instead of staying in one area.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just for the people who don't know you here, because some will, some won't. The whole point of Welcome to the Madhouse is introducing people to new music. So what's the influences behind Sentenced to Exile? What bands should people be listening to before listening to you guys?
That's a good question, and if it was still MI, I'd be able to answer that, but right now I'm not actually sure, because like I said, we've still got our old influences, I guess, like Slipknot, Korn, Pantera, that sort of thing. But then also now with John's much more diverse vocal range and his influences coming in, I'm not really sure. We were having a discussion the other day in the group chat, actually, because we're preparing a release of a new single, what sort of genre we are now. And other than just putting it under the broad term of metal, that's all we can come up with at the moment. We don't really know what the overall influence will sound like yet.
Yeah, because I mean, like, metal has got so many subgenres, if you will, these days. Like, no one ever quite knows where to put anyone.
No.
Just hold on one second, Morgan.
Yeah.
I'm just killing off a effect I had on. But, yeah, no, that's all good. No one ever really knows where to place any metal band these days, because what was the film? Metal: A Headbanger's Journey, many years ago. Did you see that?
Okay, yeah. A long time ago.
Well, there's just this one shot from that movie I remember, which had just like, it was almost like a family tree looking thing of all the metal subgenres and where you place these great bands within them. You can't catch what I mean. But there was so many in some of these sections that I was like, okay, but wouldn't they count in another one as well? Oh, it was crazy. So this new release, a single coming out, I take it this is the first single from Sentenced to Exile?
Yeah, so the plan is it's the first in a string of 3 before we then release, hopefully, our debut album. That's the plan.
Nice. What's it called?
Don't know when it's out yet.
What's it called? And when can people get it?
Okay, it's called Parasite, which is the original working title that it had when we were working on it in MI. So it's retained name. We just saved it as that when we sent it to John, and we said, you can write about what you want, call it what you want. He was like, no, I'm really feeling this name. So he wanted to keep it, but he's written all his own lyrics and melodies and everything. So that's that side of it. When it's going to come out, we have no idea yet.
That's the question everyone dreads in these kind of interviews. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, our engineer is he's done us a rough mix just to sort of get a ballpark idea. We liked a lot of it. Certainly John and Luke wanted to make a couple of changes. So we forwarded them on to Jeff. He's going to look at it, he said, this weekend. Once we get that, we'll be able to master it. Then we'll be doing a music video for it. And then we'll be sending all of that stuff to the label. And then the label come up with the release schedule and everything. So we don't know. But it could be sort of as soon as maybe end of April, could be possibly as late as sort of like July. We just don't know yet.
Nice. Well, I will be waiting with anticipation for that one. If I could maybe get a look at it to do a review for the Madhouse, that'd be lovely, mate. Hey, because
as soon as we get the master, for sure.
Where are people going to be able to get it when it comes? What platforms are you sending it for?
Yeah, so because it's just a single, just a standalone release, it will be just digital release. So it will be on all major streaming services. It will be on YouTube when the music video's out as well. So, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all of them.
All the usual crowd out there. So
yeah.
So Morgan, we've gone today, but let's go right back to the beginning, mate. Probably before you and I even met. What was that first tune you heard that made you go, I need an electric guitar right now and I need to be like them?
That's a good question. Because the first, what made me want to pick up the guitar was we got Sky installed, and we got all the music channels, and so just put Kerrang on, and it's that Sweet Child of Mine music video. I mean, I must have been 7 or 8, and it's just that bit. Slash walks up, plugs in his guitar, and just starts this cool stance and this kind of like intro, and you're like, I want to do that, because I was...
The man is just the definition of cool, really, isn't he?
Oh, 100%, yeah. No, he's a legend. But I was learning keyboard originally, because my mum's a piano and keyboard teacher, and she was teaching my sister, who's 2 years older than me. And she started getting me into it. But then I saw that, and I was like, guitar, I think, for me. But the first thing I actually really wanted to learn on guitar... And actually, my dad showed the very first part of it to me, because he does a bit of playing himself, was Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. Just because it's that, they're all open strings, it's really, really easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dyspraxic as hell, and even I can play that riff. We've had an audience question come in. I should explain. My mate Muttley is a regular viewer of the show. I don't think he's missed a single one yet. And his weekly question: sausage sarnie or bacon butty? I have to ask it, or I'll get some shit off of him for it.
Bacon sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good man. Mine was bacon, but with a nice runny fried egg on.
Oh no, but I mean, the best of both worlds, really. You get bacon and sausage, and then if you're really pushing the boat out, you stick a hash brown in there.
Oh, you greedy git. You greedy git. Oh, dear. But, no, so, I mean, what was your first experience of playing in a band then? Because, I mean, as long as I've known you, you've been in a band working your ass off, really.
Yeah. Well, bands, college would have been the first time. So, like, an actual, band, I guess. When I was in secondary school, I was the guitarist for the gospel choir backing band.
Oh no,
that counts as well, I guess.
I bet looking back on that now, it's so weird considering the kind of music you've played since then.
Yeah, but it's interesting because a lot of the guys that were in that gospel choir band, like one of them, the bass player, absolutely phenomenal bass player, a guy called Rory Geiso, he ended up going on and playing bass for, I think, Dizzy Rascal and Jesse J and stuff like that.
What?
You know,
What,
like
as a session player?
yeah, the session guy. He's got his own band, or he did have his own band when I last saw him, which was quite a while ago now. But yeah, like he went on to do stuff like that, and the drummer, Jack Ford, he's in the Hideaways, which is a Bristol-based band who's sort of like in indie rock kind of thing that are doing quite well for themselves. Yeah, it's weird. We all sort of started in this thing, and then everyone just kind of went off and did their own things.
Nice, man. No, that's a hell of a start, to be fair. Jazz Lamport, actually my new bass player, asks, what's your favourite band of all time, or top three, whichever way you choose to do it?
Well, I'll do top three. Stained at the top, 100%. Second would probably be Cold, which are very much like Stained and also featured on each other's songs and things. And then a third one, who do I listen to a lot? Breaking Benjamin. Thanks. Just had some off-screen help there to remember what my own favourite bands are. Yeah, Breaking Benjamin would be probably the third one.
Nice. Apparently Don Airy used to play church organ, according to Muttley. Yeah, so college, I guess. I guess I should touch on what you're saying there for the audience. Me and Morgan first met when we attended Access to Music in Bristol. That was a rather mad couple of years, wasn't it, old boy?
It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it for the most part, but the second year of the course, at least from when I joined, because you were there on the level 2 course before I even joined, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, so I joined in 2010 straight out of school onto like the college A-level level, which was Performing Musician 3, I think.
No, so you and me would have started at the same time then, and I think.
Yeah, we would have started, but I think you did PM2 or whatever.
I remember I went straight in at 3. But no,
yeah, we started the same year then.
The thing I kind of wanted to touch on there was like people think that music college education, they're just kind of training you to be kind of what guys like you and me are now. But the first year I loved it because it was about the music. But the second year, it felt so much more geared at going to uni. And like, I personally don't feel that trying to get into the fields that you and I are trying to break, that a university education is so worth it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation I do find myself having quite a lot with other musicians. Like, a lot of people, so like 3 of the other guys in STE, so Matt, Kyle, and Luke all went to Access to Music as well at varying points and did the same kind of course that we did. There's a lot of people, and I think it was an experience, and certainly for the first year, there were kind of things where it was like, oh, I'm learning things, and certainly being around a whole age group and varied talent base of other musicians, sort of you learn things off other people. But yeah, the second year was, in my opinion, it was useless. And I mean, I fast-tracked it, so I ended up leaving Access to Music in like March of that year, I think.
Yeah, you kind of disappeared and no one knew where the hell you'd gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I spoke to Dale and I said, look, like, because Luke Ranger was driving me in, if you remember Luke, which is who I'm still in touch with. He was driving me and him to and from, and like he wasn't really getting on with it either. So we just said, if you send us all our work, we'll get through it, like the dissertation and like all that sort of stuff. We'll do that at home and send it in, and that's what we did, which is why we kind of disappeared sort of halfway through the second year. But I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't pick up a guitar for a long time after I came out of Access to Music, and that's a particular thing against like the specific teachers that were there, or the institution itself. That's nothing against that. It's just I think music, a creative education in general, there's a certain amount of creativity and freedom, but there's also a certain amount of hoops that the college has to jump through with the government to continue to get funding, which means they have to make us do things that probably strictly, not what we possibly should be doing, if we're on that kind of course. And so I think the best thing to do for any aspiring musician is just to kind of, I'd skip the college part. I'd do it at GCSE, kind of get a feel for the history of music. If the syllabus is still the same, I don't know. But after that, I'd just find your own way and like network. And, if you want to go to music college, go to music college for sort of like production or management or, mixing and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't go as a player.
Yeah. No, like, my experience is much the same there, to be honest. But I will say one thing, and obviously we're going to cover all your other bands tonight, but many of my usual people on here won't know this, and he's smiling already. I can see him from here. You were involved in probably the greatest moment of my time in college. You were actually the first ever Adam and the Hellcats drummer.
Yes.
That was honestly, like, you were only in it on that one first gig, but Jesus, man, that gig was insane. Like, for a college end of term gig, like basically packing out the Croft and having him sing my tunes. And I'm just...
it was good. I mean, from the, sounds bad, but from the little I remember, because Matt from Sentenced to Exile, turns out he was in Access to Music around the same time I was, to the point that we crossed over a bit, but we didn't know because he was in a very different group. So he was actually, he said the other day when the announcement about the stream went live about me also being a drummer in your band, he said that like he was at that gig, and it turns out he didn't really think much about drumming. which is fine, because I learned how to play drums off Guitar Hero World Tour, and that was the first time I'd ever played drums live, and I think it was actually the last time I ever played drums live, because I'm not really a drummer.
Fair enough. Well, of course, that night we finished with a cover of Am I Evil by Diamond Head, which you and James McPhee...
This is all starting to make sense now.
Yeah, you and James McPhee switched round, and you jumped on guitar for it. And of course, Tom Pedder-Smith, who I still chat to these days, is a great friend of mine, awesome dude. He'd been taking the rest of the solos all night, and he's bloody good lead guitarist, but you went off on one on that Am I Evil solo, mate.
I honestly don't remember, because me and Matt were talking about this and trying to remember whether I did come off the drums for that song. So I honestly don't remember what I played. I mean, just for the record, for those that are tuning in that don't know, we are talking 11 years ago.
Oh yeah. So, it's just funny to reminisce on. I tell you, I'm just trying to sort out one little tech issue a minute. Oh no, it is still live. The streaming software started saying that my channels weren't active for some reason, and but they're active. They're online. What's it even doing? Oh yeah, we are still there. Restream, stop being a dick. But Tony Feasy says he thinks the current drummer's much better looking.
Well, he's not wrong.
That's my dad, who is also the drummer, by the way.
He's probably not wrong.
But yeah, I'd have to say though, my favourite band you ever played in thus far, out of what I've actually heard, it's got to be Wreckage of Society. That Luke Smith, Jesus man, that voice. Or he's like,
yeah, man, yeah.
So how come you stopped doing that? By the way, anyone in the comments who wants to, please go and check out Wreckage of Society's work. I believe it's still all up and public, yeah?
Oh yeah, all the Wreckage stuff is up there and still published. Yeah, you know, stream away, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, me leaving and then the subsequent disbanding of Wreckage it was an odd one. Like, I'm gonna try and put it as sort of diplomatically as possible, because at the time there was a slight bit of tension between myself and other members. But the long story short is we'd been going for 6 years by that point. We released one album and one single, which for 6 years, considering the amount of songs that we had written and stuff, wasn't great.
Yeah.
But you know, we were sort of looking towards new directions and sort of new things, and we brought James McPhee, another old college friend of mine and Adam's,
and another original Hellcat,
and another original Hellcat. Yeah, he came on as the sort of manager to kind of whip us into shape, kind of thing. And he did a really good job with helping us like organize our release for the single Breathing that came after.
That was a banging single, by the way, man.
But then the last year of my time in there was a lot of kind of felt like me against the other three. It was me getting frustrated and annoyed because nothing was happening, and then like getting into arguments with the other three because there were things about money and like, you know, people having to put their contribution in and, you know, not being able to for X, Y, and Z reasons and things. And it just got to a point where like I gave them all this kind of like notice period, I guess, where I sort of said, look, if things don't sort themselves out, I am going to have to leave, because the amount of time and energy I want to put into this, it's being stopped by other factors I could be putting into something else. You know, because at this time I was in MI as well. So I was in 2 bands, you know, as well as other session work projects and things. You know, I was very busy. And so in the end, it just basically things didn't change enough for me. They didn't really change at all. And so I basically said, look, unfortunately, I'm going to leave. And then everyone was like, all right, yeah, that's sad, but I kind of get it. And then because we'd always agreed that, you know, Wreckage was just the 4 of us, like the other guys were like, oh, well, we'll just disband and kind of go and do our own things. And that's basically what happened. And there was a bit of tension.
Because Malicious Inc. was really starting to kick off at the time. I'm on it.
That was kind of part of the thing that fueled my kind of sort of lack of motivation with Wreckage, was the fact that like I was onto a winning formula with MI in terms of the way that I did things. Like, because every band I've been in, I've always kind of been the guy sort of steering the wheel kind of thing, not like the leader, but like the person that kind of nudges it in certain directions. And you know, I was onto this winning formula with MI, and I was like, if everybody in Wreckage had the same work ethic that MI did, then, you know, there's no reason why Wreckage couldn't get signed. Because literally MI, like, we formed in January 2019, wrote 6 songs between January and April. When we recorded them in April, we walked out of that studio, signed a record deal, and then release schedules were being put out, music videos were being done. And like, I achieved more in the first 6 or 7 months of MI than I did in the entire 6 years of Wreckage. And I'm like, if you take that work ethic and sort of, you know, especially with the knowledge that I'm getting as I'm moving further into the industry with labels and things and making more contacts, I was like, we could do this.
Yeah.
And you know, it just wasn't happening for many reasons. I think some of the guys were also not really feeling the music, and we were sort of umming and ahhing about what direction we wanted to go in as well. And, you know, I was coming out with these heavier sort of things because of MI. Like, I was in that heavier writing zone, and Luke wanted that, and I was like, okay, so I started trying to bring that. And then, you know, it just wasn't working, and, you know, shit happened.
Although Luke's very much landed on his feet with Haunted by Wolves now, hasn't he? I think they're fantastic.
Yeah. He's I watched his Q&A on the bus. Was it yesterday? I think it must have been yesterday, where he sort of says about like how he joined the band and stuff. I don't know if you've watched this. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because like it tells sort of his side of kind of, you know, after Wreckage split up, sort of like what he did about, you know, wanting to carry on in his own way. And yeah, he's landed very much on his feet. They're doing pretty well for themselves at the moment.
Yeah. Well, shout out Luke Smith and Haunted by Wolves. All's big shout out. We'll have to get you in the Madhouse sometime. Adrian Parry asks, well, for one question for me, you've been to Download before, haven't you? At some point. No? Right. If you could pick your perfect 3 Download Festival headliners, who would they be? Friday, and give me days you'd want them on: Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, that's harsh.
Mate, you're in the Madhouse. Like, come on, did you expect any less out of me?
I'd probably put Sentenced on the Saturday, just because it's nice and in the middle, and they're kind of like a middle range sort of, you know, they've got their radio-friendly ballads, and they've got their super old-school nu metal shit. So I'd probably put them on the Saturday headliner. Sunday, probably Gojira, because they're coming out with some good shit at the moment.
Yeah.
And in what better way to end a festival? Like the one festival I've been to, which was Sonosphere in 2011, Slipknot closed it. And, you know, the heaviness of that sort of thing, like, imagine someone like Gojira closing the festival. It'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest...
Friday...
Oh, drum roll. I can literally see the cogs. I can literally see the cogs whirring in your head right now, mate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was trying to choose between Lamb of God and Bring Me the Horizon, but I think Bring Me the Horizon, you know, with those 3 headliners, you'd have a lot of diversity at the headline. You'd have sort of like everything from pop to deathcore on the Friday, then you'd have like sort of radio rock to nu metal on the Saturday, and then you'd just have balls out groove on Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, coming back to Sentenced to Exile, okay, because I believe there is a story there. Obviously, anything you don't want to raise, don't raise. Okay, I'm not going to press you, but obviously, with everything that was going well with MI, the hell happened, man?
There's about 7 different answers to that question that went through my head, none of which would probably be constructive. Let's
give me the
try
short
and be
diplomatic version.
The long story short is the tail end of October, we were offered a management deal by Enzo Music Management, who are based in Exeter, who is run by a lady and her son, and the son, Elliot, used to be in Cambion, who, you know, so nice. They're sort of well-connected, well-versed, and sort of the really good sort of vision for metal bands. That I think they're a pretty like metal-specific management company. And I was getting bogged down with it because I was managing MI up to that point. Obviously, Wreckage had split, and I was trying to form a new band. I had solo stuff that was going on as well. I had collaborations, I had session work, and then, you know, basically, we signed it. They wanted Carl to get rid of his face paint. He objected to that. It was kind of like we'd always done things as like sort of like a democracy. So it was kind of like, we'll do a vote here. And it was 4-1 against him to agree with Rachel Enzo to ditch the paint. And that sparked this sort of very quickly escalating argument that sort of mainly was between myself and the former vocalist. And it basically got very, very heated and very, very personal towards me. I mean, all the stuff ended up on social media. All the screenshots for a while were on there. Everyone could read the things that he was saying to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go into specifics of what was said.
This wasn't me going, look at this. This was he voluntarily put them up himself, you know, to kind of show the details. Missed a couple, which were then put in. and yeah, he basically got very personal about my mental health and stuff. And I just had enough. I was in work, you know, in a hospital, and I just turned around and went, "You're fired."
Yeah, you had your Alan Sugar moment.
That's where it started. That wasn't the official dismissal. That was me just going, "Look, you're fired. Shut up." And he went, "All right, we'll sort of like, we'll obviously have to talk asset division and stuff, because like he owns all the lyrics and stuff, and the whole MI brand originally started with Malicious Intent, which was his old band from years ago. So, and you know, I wrote all the music, so there was kind of this, we're going to have to somehow discuss asset division, social media pages, all that sort of stuff." Yeah. And it went into that. All was looking all right, and then something just flipped, and he hijacked the social media pages, locked us out, started spinning some rubbish, and then people started coming forward because it had all gone out on social media about, you know, his dismissal from the band and things, and the fact that we were going to start looking for someone else.
Was there a conscious decision to kind of break with the MI thing entirely and go with this what's now Sentenced to Exile then?
Well, yeah, because Kyle owned the sort of, you know, the whole MI thing because of the Malicious Intent ties, and how the fact that sort of like what he brought to it was sort of that legacy, so to speak. You know, he rightfully owned the brand, you know.
Fair enough.
Like we were happy to say, you know, okay, we're going to have to rebrand and come up with a new name and everything. That's fine. It worked in our favor because we wanted, after lots of people started coming forward to us saying, you know, thank God you got rid of Kyle, this and that about him, and like some seriously nasty allegations. We wanted to very much distance ourselves from him. So we were like, look, you can take it, you can have it, that's fine. But it was the social media pages and things that, because it was a lot of my money that got put into promoting them and things that he didn't own. So I was happy to remove the name and take down all the MI related stuff. But, you know, no, he hijacked. I
mean, you seem to be landing on your feet now, mate, because like obviously you've got Sentenced to Exile, and we've already touched on the releases you've got coming up there. But you told me you're also working on some solo material. Collaborating with a bunch of different vocalists.
Yeah, so before the lockdown, I was sessioning for a Bristol-based artist called Melody.
I've heard some of the Melody stuff, mate. I've heard some of the Melody stuff. She's actually friends with our second lead vocalist, Kywin. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, so we did like an intro show to a tour that got cancelled because it was the end of March last year, and obviously coronavirus really hit, and there was the lockdown in force. So the tour got cancelled, but we sort of stayed in touch. And in about October, I bought some home studio stuff, and she was one of the people that came to mind to sort of work on a piece of music with. So I've got a track with her. I've got a couple of other tracks with some other people. I've got 5 that we're going to be looking for a vocalist to do as kind of like a whole EP.
I volunteer.
Sorry?
I volunteer.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like I said to you, you know, at the moment, as soon as I've got some stuff, we can sort of talk about that for sure.
Straight up, man. Straight up.
Yeah, because other than those 5 tracks, that need a vocalist that are all going to go together, so I want the same person doing it. I've got a particular vision in mind for that. So we're on the hunt for sort of like that kind of stained, cold, you know, the kind of clean but also harsh nu metal kind of vocal.
Sounds like an interesting project. This is there plans to gig? Is there plans to gig this at all, or
no?
Right, and so this would just be studio releases then. Yeah,
it basically started out as a lockdown project. So the short version is when they were going to enforce the second lockdown around the end of October last year, literally the day before, I went into PMT and just went, right, I need some monitors, I need, this, that. I just basically bagged myself a basic home studio, so that, going to be sat in lockdown, can go to work, come back and do nothing else. I just sit and record music and release it myself. And speaking with James, he put me in touch with a guy called Charles Hughes, who is an engineer at AMS Studios in Box, and his dad is Chris Merrick Hughes, who was drummer for Adam and the Ants, produced Tears for Fears, helped write Everyone Wants to Rule the World. He's worked with, if you Google, he's worked with Robert Plant and all these other big, fantastic names of the past. And originally I was going to be releasing them myself, but I sent some of them to Charles, and he sort of consulted with his dad and his friend George, who he's looking to set up a record label with. And basically they're helping produce them, and then we're hopefully going to release them through them at some point, once that's all off the ground.
Awesome. Well, again, like I said with your Sentenced to Exile single, definitely send us a copy for review. Cause,
the one that's actually going to come out is a song that you will have heard. I am re-releasing as a solo project my song "Spin the Bottle" from the Wreckage self-titled album.
Tune! I love it. Absolute tune. Is it going to be majorly different from what I know, or?
Well, originally it wasn't going to be much different. So I got the stems for the guitar, the bass, and the vocals with sort of consent from the original performers. So Jim, the original bassist, and Luke, they said, yeah, you can use our stems and stuff. I got my own guitar ones. I programmed the drums, worked with James McPhee to add a choir and a string section to it. And then I spoke with John from Sentenced to Exile about putting some harsh screams behind some of the clean vocals. So that was the original new vision I had for it. And then I sent this to Charles, and he was sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm liking this, I'll mix it for you. And then because and this is his words, not me bigging up my own song, but because he fell in love with the song, he took it upon himself to sort of basically say, oh, well, can I do some production on it? And I just said, you go nuts. So he said that I'm yet to hear what the new version's gonna be like. Yeah, I don't know. But he's told me that he's added. Yeah, he said he's added some stuff and sort of he's done his own little sort of really tiny editing and things in the tracks and things to sort of add to his kind of mix vision. So he's kind of done a mix and a bit of production on it. So he's kind of almost reinvented it from it's the same song, but totally different, I think, is the way that he described it to me on the phone. But it's going to have Luke's original vocal on it. So the structure and everything and kind of the key, and it's the same song, but he's done a lot to it that kind of apparently brings some kind of new lease of life to it. So I'm excited to hear it, but I can't tell you what it's like yet.
Oh, nice. I'm guessing there's no release date on this yet, but where can people find you on social media for the solo stuff? Because obviously you search Sentenced to Exile, you're going to get Sentenced to Exile. Albert.
Yeah. Well, I've got my own page on Facebook, so it's just Morgan Weeds Music. So that's where I post everything about everything that I'm doing. So you'll get some Sentenced to Exile stuff on there. You'll get some of the other stuff, and then you'll get my own solo stuff. And same thing for Instagram and Twitter. It's just me.
Nice. Well, Morgan, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been trying to get you in the Madhouse for quite a while, and I'm very glad I did. It Don't be a. Don't
No,
be a
it's like.
Say again.
No, I was going to say, thank you for having me now that I've actually got stuff to talk about. Because when you originally sort of said, I would like to come on, I was like, well, yeah, I'd like to, but I'm in the middle of a lockdown, having just booted a vocalist and have no current musical projects to talk about.
Oh, jeez.
So, but
yeah.
now we're here, and you know,
no, that's
happy
cool.
to keep you up to date. And, you know, maybe come back when something's actually out.
Please, dude, whichever releases first, whether it's Sentenced to Exile or solo stuff, please, as soon as it releases, let me know. Give us a copy to review and get yourself back in the Madhouse, alright?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. As always, it's you guys in the chat that make this show what it is. We will be back same time, 8 p.m. every Wednesday. You can't get rid of me that easily. Come on. I should quickly say there is another big Hellcats announcement on Monday, which Morgan's going to be lucky enough to know what it is as soon as we get off stream. But you lot are going to have to wait. But until then, my friends, I release you from the Madhouse.